she won 4 Grand Slams. You know who else won Grand Slams during 05 and 07? Maria Sharapova,
There you
Venus
go.
Williams,
And about to say
Serena
Venus
Williams.
and Serena
Okay,
Williams.
so
Right.
like that's like
Right.
is like could you
Yeah.
I'm getting goosebumps like could you ask for a better era of tennis in that time? Like that could be the golden era of modern women's tennis is when those 3 women or 4 pardon me 4 women were battling. Haha. We're back. It's top 5 time. It is top 5 time. And maybe the numbers are a little bit off, but I don't care because this is where we are. But a quick catch up. We've been going through the top 25 players of the last 25 years on the women's side. Check the playlist, look at the other videos and podcasts. I'm not going to go over it right now, but this is our last episode. This is the top 5 episode. And we've gone from 25 all the way up through 6, and now we're at number 5, kinda. I will keep the people waiting no longer, because I think when we last wrapped up, we were about to talk about Maria Sharapova a little bit, because I told you I had Maria at 6, and you scoffed and said that was a little too low. And then I also admitted that I also had Iga just right above Maria at 5. And we just talked about Iga in the last episode. So if you want to hear our thoughts on Iga, go back and check out I don't know what that would have been, like 10 through 6 episode. But Maria, let me pose this question to you, Tori. Why
Yep.
do you feel like 6 is too low for Maria Sharapova?
That's because I had her at 5. So.
Jesus. Okay.
I do think you had Hingis way too high. That I will say.
Okay. I don't need to go back to the Hingis situation. It's
You said it. It's done. I'm with you.
Okay. Actually, I think the Hingis lens is a good one through which to look at Maria Sharapova because I think the knock on Sharapova. Well, let's talk about the upside of like why is she this high in both of our lists? Like when you win 5 Grand Slams and you final 5 more, and you do that over the course of first Grand Slam win was in 2004, last Grand Slam win was in 2014, right? That's a career of winning.
I like that. I like the way you said that, Alvin. That whole 10-year thing to me is a great thing, and I think that when you look at the body of work spanning that long, again, I'm a big fan. And 5 finals. You can't through the meat of Venus and Serena's era
Right.
in addition to. So to me, it's hard not to knock that body of work. And again, I can't say enough about Maria Sharapova. I think she recently got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Much deserved.
Absolutely.
What took him so long is all I would say. One of my favorite stories is a funny one, but it's just so the listeners may not have seen Maria play before. It's still Ash, but the stadium, I'm walking at the back stairs going up to the cafeteria area one year. And we're on the steps, right? And I see Maria ahead of me, and she's obviously taller than most. And Alvin, she gets to the top floor, walking into the main cafeteria area, and I get to the top step, Alvin, and I'm looking up like there must be another step here somewhere because Maria is still my height right now. And I'm like, I'm 6'6", Alvin, as you know, and I'm looking up like, why does she look like she's almost my height? I saw an article I forget what, it might have been USA Today or something, and there was Billie Jean King and all these other formers. I think they're putting her star somewhere, and Sharapova was there. And guess who was to her left? Magic Johnson, who's 6'9".
Right. Yeah.
When I tell you that they weren't that far apart in age, I think she's a full-on 6'3". I don't know what the tape says, but a woman 6'3" is about 6'5". Most guys say they're 6'5". They're probably 6'3.5", maybe 6'4", fudging it a little extra above with the shoe height. I think women tend to come down an inch or two because they don't want to be as tall. Alvin, Venus too, by the way. They are some of the tallest women I have seen in my life. And Lisa Leslie's another one. I mean, when say tall, I mean just like wow, like that is a tall woman. And when you see her strike a tennis ball, look as effortless as she does, was I not only was a huge Maria fan, I was I was as much of a fan as at her comeback because did a lot of her work when she was 17, 18 and kind of came on the scene.
Right.
And then she had, as you say, a return to form, which to me always says a lot about you as a player. Because when you now not only extended for that decade, as you mentioned, but are also relevant in the middle, and then found a way to come back and win, you can't say enough about that.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway, right? So like she hits the scene at what was it, 16, 17 years old, wins
Mhm.
Wimbledon in
Yeah.
'04, and then a smattering of semifinals and Grand Slams between '05 and '06, like
Yep.
literally like five of them. Wins the US
Yep.
Open in 2006, finals Australian Open on the next slam in '07, and then also wins Australian Open in 2008. So that 4-year run, like she was getting it done, and this is also while Serena and Venus are actively like
Yep.
more or less dominating the tour, but in between that dominance, you would say Maria was right there. And I think that's also part of the it's also part of the detraction though. Like when you talk
Yep.
about, winning 5, losing 5 and having roughly 20 weeks at number 1, it's the 20 weeks at number 1 for me that kind of like that is not just about those other players, it's also about you as well. You're not them, right?
Yep.
So that's like she was a number 3 kind of back there. I think Justine Henin was probably still like contending for Grand Slams around that time as well, maybe late maybe 2005, 2006. Um but another thing that people, sometimes forget, sometimes she did go away, right, for a bit. She had some
Yep.
she had some downtime, she had some health issues, and then
Yep.
in 2011 was able to come back and then start, she made 4 more Grand Slams and Grand Slam finals between 2011 2015, and then also won 2 more Grand Slams and career Grand Slam. She's got the career Grand Slam. Like that's like how many players have won the career Grand Slam?
During that same era, again, I can't say enough about her. Can't
It's
say enough about
yeah.
her.
Yeah, and I'll also, echo your Maria Sharapova is tall as hell. Like I ran into her this would have been like Eddie Her 2013. We were down at Bolletari's and yeah, Eddie Her's at IMG. Yep. I'm back there on the indoor courts. I've told this story before in this podcast, but I'll tell it again. I'm on the indoor courts hitting with one of my players before one of her matches, and Maria's like on the backside trying to like cut like on the backside of the campus, outside of view of everyone at the tournament. Just she gets
Right.
done hitting and she goes down the backside and she's leaving, and we wrap up at the same time. My player wants to get a picture with her, so we go and meet her and kind of run into her, and we get the picture. I'm taking the picture, and I'm like, I was I don't get starstruck very
Yeah.
often, but like I'm standing kind of next to her, and I was like, not only is she tall, like she was strong, like she was like just like looked like an athlete's athlete, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's the truth right there, and um, yeah, just kind of a breathtaking athlete when you see like
Yeah.
someone who's doing it at the highest level,
Sure,
and then she
sure. Easy
turns
on the eyes too, and more than you would think when you get right next to a lot of some people in the limelight can be very made up, and you know Sharapova looked as good coming off of a third set as that was not too much makeup. Is all I will say, and especially being as tall as she was, very regal. I just feel I can't say enough about her. I thought she was a great player. She was a phenomenal foil for Serena for all those years. Um, and I really feel like that rivalry really helped propel tennis to the level it's at. All the players that played in that era, in that in that early 2000s era, to me, had really helped propel tennis to what it is. And the fact that he was that relevant during that whole time frame, I mean, just really helped push the game to what it is right now. A lot of the players now should be thankful for I'm gonna say the path that they helped pave.
and
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 that's
and even less so the rivalry on the court in terms of like it being an even rivalry. It was more of it kept women's tennis relevant. It made it matter and brought people in for whatever reason.
right.
Obviously, Serena's dominance, her profile as an athlete,
Yep.
all the things we said about Maria, like it brought people to the sport,
Yep.
and that's like probably even past the quality of the tennis, like having people watch that high quality tennis probably matters even more. Like, if
Yep.
a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it,
Yeah.
there
Yep.
you
Yep.
go. There you go. All right, let's keep trekking. This is where it's gonna get good. God, I can't believe you had Martina that low. Okay, number 4. Who you got?
I'm gonna say with a caveat right now. First of all, the player is Justine Henin.
Okay.
That's number one. Let me say this. Justine was a phenomenal player. As I've said this about all the players at this point in time. Mm, The antithesis of Sharapova in terms of stature, I don't think she was 5'4". I think she was closer to 5'2.5", almost 5'3".
With a 1.
With the one, with a nasty one at that, and had some of the best footwork. I think Fed had pretty good footwork. Always was on balance. Played some of the best shot making we've seen, and certainly the smoothest. She had better footwork than Fed. The way she covered the court, I stand by my statement. I've watched them both side by side. I'm seeing how and I go played Fed. So I saw that one up close and personal and watched him built a large part of my teaching off of decision making reads, uh, ball striking, footwork, effortless, biomechanical striking into the court. You heard it right here. Justine Henna, better footwork, coverage, reads, and I felt like she had to. And because of her strike zone being that much smaller, I felt like she maximized her serve at such a small stature, and she did it on clay. Alvin was some of her best work. So it's not like she was just taking the balls early on the hard court and could time it really well. He was doing a lot of this on the clay. There's my mic drop for Justine. And again, 7 slams to me is nobody's slouch at any point in time. Let me look back to my stats. Was she? And I want to say she had and 4 other finals.
And
There you go.
117 weeks at number 1.
There you
And
go.
no shocker here. I also had Justine at number 4. So we're aligned there. But I think it's good to look at between the years of 2005, 2007. I mean, her prime was 03 to 07, right? She
Hmm.
won,
Hmm.
all of her slams in that period, and also tacked on 3 more Grand Slam finals. But specifically between 05 and 07, she won 4 Grand Slams. You know who else won Grand Slams during 05 and 07? Maria Sharapova,
There you
Venus
go.
Williams,
And about to say
Serena
Venus
Williams.
and Serena
Okay,
Williams.
so
Right.
like that's like
Right.
is like could
Yeah.
you I'm getting goosebumps like cuz you asked for a better era of tennis in that time. Like that could be the golden era of modern women's tennis is
Yep.
when those 3 women or 4 pardon me 4 women were battling for the top spot, like literally battling. That was, and also Kim Clijsters was also in that mix as well. I think Kimmy won
Great
her
tennis
her
team.
U.S. Open like in '05 or something like that, maybe somewhere in there. I don't
Yep.
really remember, but
Maybe it was it 05?
I know I know
Five
that
or six, yeah.
I do know
Certainly
that
around that time.
Justine was her biggest rival. Like she had a singular rival was or Kim's most singular rival was Justine. So you also have to put Kim in that space too. So I think what we're starting to see is like even bringing it to present day, you're kind of getting a similar vibe of like this is what parity at the top looks like. And then Serena kind of dominated after that. But like in that space, like
Yep.
2004 2007, like it was on and popping. Like anyone could get their head cut off at a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Such good tennis. Such good tennis. And yeah, I mean, Justine Henin, one of the coolest customers
Yep.
you would ever see on a tennis court.
Yep.
Yeah, footwork that was aspirational at worst. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think she deserves all the praise that she's getting heaped on her right now.
Yep.
Go back and check the tapes. Like that,
Please.
she literally the size of Jasmine Paolini, but
Yeah.
just mowing women down.
Yep. But with very different game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? With very different game. She played like she was 6'2". You know what I mean? And the package she was. So yeah, again, watching her play. I I mean, if I had, I'd take it off, put it on, take it off again. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just to pay homage.
And so now here we are. We've entered the top three. And really, it's a conversation around the top. It's around 2 and 3. I think we know
Yep.
where we're going with number 1 here.
Yep.
I've already spilled the beans with Martina Hingis for myself at number 2. Now I'm curious as I'm looking at your list and all the names you've covered so far and the ones that I've covered, and I don't understand how there are 3 names left unless you pulled someone from the 70s again. Maybe someone you play with in juniors. I'm not quite sure. What do you? What? Who
Do
do
you want to
you?
keep going here? Or are we gonna throw barbs and
Who do you have at number 3?
Venus Williams,
Venus Williams. I also have Venus Williams at number 3. Okay. Okay.
7 slams, 9 finals, and still was relevant enough to play in this year's. I think because her and Justine were tied there, but the number of finals and obviously just her overall body of work, and I was just a huge fan. Also about 6'2", 6'3", I might add. That darn Venus Williams is tall. Just can't say enough about her. We talked about her before on this podcast, specifically about just her relevance, and she was able to continue being relevant even at 40 plus years old. And I felt like that was, that just showed you how good she was back then. If that was almost 20 years ago. So I feel like, yeah, I'm sure you had the number of weeks at number 1. I honestly feel like she doesn't, and she may. I don't think she gets some of the credit she deserves for being the inspiration and the lead of the Williams sisters. I think that her front running, she pushed Serena to be as dominant as she was. And I can't even speak enough on their doubles dominance together, which is a whole nother talk show, which you can't even add to this conversation, but it is. But I absolutely love Venus Williams. Love what she meant for tennis. Love what she's done for tennis. You can't say Williams without saying sisters because of her. And I just feel like she is every bit the champion and deserves every bit of the credit that she gets from that. And I'll be honest, Alvin, there hasn't been 2 other African American players in any sport that have had the dominance those 2 had, and you have to split some of that evenly in their impact with Venus and Serena in terms of off the court, because both of them proved that it wasn't a fluke. You got to give Serena her own due, 100%, but Venus 100% deserves her own time in the spotlight.
I agree, and I don't have much to add there except for when we look at reasons why. Mm, and now I might be second guessing it a little bit, but I'm gonna stand 10 toes on this one. Why I have her at 3 and not 2. And I thought about this one a good bit. It was the lack of weeks at number 1, right? 11 weeks
Sure.
at number 1, right? She
Yeah.
didn't, but in the same way that I talked
Probably
about,
dethroned by her sister. You know what I
right? And
mean?
I
And a
think
lot of those, yeah,
that's the biggest thing you can't, like,
yeah,
obviously we talk about them as a pair, but a lot of Venus's career is seen through the prism and defined
of Serena's.
by Serena, and like
Yep.
almost the same could be said, like I said earlier about Maria Sharapova, but even to the nth degree. I present you this. Venus, yes, lost 9 Grand Slam finals. How many of those weren't to Serena? 2. 2. She lost to Serena 7 times in Grand Slam finals. That, I mean, you're not, you can't say that her dominance was not directly impeded by her own sister, considering she had 2001 she won 4 Grand Slams in 2 years, and then her very next 3 finals, she made 3 finals in 2002, lost to her sister in each one of them, made 2 finals in 2003, lost to Serena in both of them, right? So like that is a hard stop.
Yeah.
That's a hard stop.
Yep.
From a standpoint of dominance. Like she made 3 more finals. She did win 3 more Wimbledons after that, made 3 more Grand Slam finals after that. And again,
Yep.
lost 2 of them to Serena. But Yeah, it's not that you necessarily want to look at them in as a pair, but you cannot separate them.
Yeah.
Honestly, you
Yep.
definitely cannot talk about Venus without talking about the impact that Serena's, you know,
Right.
ascendance had on
Right.
her
Right. Right.
ability to reach and stay at the
Right.
very top of the women's game.
Yep.
When she wasn't the
And
best player in the world, she was the second best player
and
in the world.
right. And with that confidence of beating her, climbing her own mountain of beating her sister, that I can beat anybody else. You know what I
Right,
mean? If I
iron
can beat
sharpens
her,
iron,
I can beat anybody else.
and she
And
did,
did.
and she did repeatedly for a real
No
long
doubt.
time,
No
for a real
doubt.
long time.
No.
Okay, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Th, give me your number two.
Monica Seles. 10 Grand Slams. Retired in '03. The exercise was 2000 on.
Yep, yep. Okay, go ahead. Go on with your Celis, because I feel like while I didn't include Monica Seles on this list at all, I did so. Her exclusion was not an oversight on my part. It was in principle.
And
Um,
principal to the bulk of her slams in the '90s. And I, too, I just could not, in good faith, not include. She was still playing at that time. And to your point about the 10 years, Alvin, if anybody was relevant for 10 plus years and had 10 slams to back it up, again, through that nascent period through the Davenports and the early Venus and Serena years. Capriati was, I think, was in that same era as well. I'm just going to say it. I felt Monica Seles had to be included for that reason. 10 slams, a few medals along the way, had to do it.
oh, okay, okay. And this is not a knock on Monica Seles. Monica Seles is probably my favorite female tennis player growing up. I believe we're about the same age, actually. Um, give or take, but it's pretty close. No, she's a little older than me, but
It's
like,
older
so
than
when
you.
she was winning Grand Slams in the 90s, like that was me coming of like starting to watch tennis. So the two-handed backhands on both sides, the aggressive grunting,
Yep.
even looking at it as a more refined tennis player, her ability to manipulate the court at a not large stature, but her footwork was impeccable. Her ability to take the ball on the rise was second to none.
Yep.
Nobody put Steffi Graf on her ass like Monica Seles, right? My only pushback, she won her
It's the
first Grand Slam,
2000s.
and yeah, she
91.
is the number two player of the 90s, like full stop. Like, she won first Grand Slam in 1990, last Grand Slam in 1996, the 10 Grand Slams in the 90s. But I don't know why I'm butting here. I should throw it out. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to, because I love Monica
Retired in '03.
Seles.
Technically retired in '08. That's another talk show. I didn't give her those 5 years because she certainly wasn't playing in those years. I just want to put that caveat out there. And I don't give you any shade on you putting Hingis up that high.
At least we both had Hingis on the list. Like, we
Oh,
both included her in the
how would we
exercise.
not? How would we not? But
Uh,
just saying, just saying,
okay.
if we're going to include the 2000s, how can you not
I mean,
include a 10-time Grand Slam champ?
I have my reasons.
There you go.
I
There you
have
go.
my very very, I think, very valid reasons. But
With
um,
you. I'm with you. And as you put Hingis up over Venus, I mean, I should come down to Atlanta right now and get my and borrow somebody's paddle from Morehouse and just work you up one side and down the other, just on principle.
should have never gave you a podcast. Um, uh, okay, fine.
Your couch. Yep.
Go, Mike Torrey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
fine. Okay, so Monica Seles is in, and Monica Seles is great. Uh, the
I
the
know we're not debating her. I know you're just debating the time frame. And I knew when you said 70s,
I'm
I'm
not
like,
even prepared. I'm not even prepared. I'm not even prepared right now to handle this
but I know
Monica.
you're not going to knock her as the
Right.
player. You're
I,
gonna you're
absolutely
gonna
not.
dither on the time frame and interpretation, and that you may. Let me tell you one small story I saw at Wimbledon one year when I was there in '04. It had rained about, I don't know, as it always does, in London, about 3, 4 days off and on. Alvin, I saw something that I have never seen a pro tennis player, any tennis player, do. And I want the fans, the listeners, and the viewers to understand the next time you go by a tennis wall, a brick wall, any wall, and you see a kid hitting balls, everyone's scrambling, trying to find some little indoor courts. They got some courts that Roehampton's kind of indoor facility, and they have some other courts there. Not a lot, not as many as you would think, but given all the rain, everybody's trying to get some hits in. We're leaving the site, and I keep hearing this noise as we're walking to the whatever the shuttles are, and we had housing that wasn't too far, so a few days we was close enough. We walked. Monica Seles has found whatever building it was, brick, and she is hitting winging volleys, balls not bouncing, back to back, which in itself is a feat. Next time you're at the wall, Alvin, I dare you to
I
see if
can
you can hit
barely hit
over 10
volleys.
balls.
I can barely hit volleys on the wall. Like,
Winging volleys,
that's ridiculous.
Alvin. So we understand how difficult this
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Alvin, she was doing it for 25 to 30 balls at a clip, and she did it for 30 minutes straight. I have never seen the level of ball striking, Alvin, off of a ball.
Yeah.
90 miles an hour, bam, 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 coming back straight in a groove, not missing for 25 to 30 balls. And she would stop it, not miss, stop, catch her breath, other side, wham, wham. Alvin, to this day, it is a feat I have never seen another player even repeat, let alone do. The ground was wet, so clearly she had an incentive to keep the ball off the ground. There was an occasional miss, don't get me wrong. But you think about what I'm talking about. You and I may hit a ball out of anger and slap one off the wall hard as we can, almost to get back at the wall. We're not using the wall as a tool for swinging volleys as ground strokes, either side, and containing it. Alvin, it's difficult to hit off the wall for 30 minutes straight off a bounce and not miss many balls. How about when the ball's not bouncing? To
Yeah.
this day, it's one of the feats that I've rarely, and I only share it with people that can fully understand the feat that I'm talking about to help you to really get the feel of what I'm talking about. Full on, he's standing 20, 30 feet away, give or take, however hard, far enough she needs to be. This wasn't a wall, Alvin. This was a building. She was just trying to hit some balls. And I say that to tell you, if you can appreciate that level of striking, and that's just a little anecdote that I put out there, but I put it out there so that people can understand. And certainly, not a small female in her own right, and had the best clean strike of a ball I've ever seen up close and personal. So there's my quick and short, maybe not so short, Monica Seles story.
I've got nothing to add. I got nothing to add. Uh, yeah, literally
Oh,
nothing to add.
three.
Let's just yeah. Oh my god, jeez, I, we almost got out of that one. We almost did. We almost did. We almost did. Monica Seles, one of the best players in the '90s and the 2000s, apparently. Okay, let's talk about another player that stretched over multiple decades, but for real
Oh
this
yeah.
time.
Yep.
I think this is the
Yeah.
obvious point in the show where we get a chance to
Yep.
wax poetic about one Miss Serena Williams. I present to you my number one, your number one, best player of the last 25 years.
Dare
Quite
I
convenient
say
that
ever.
ever. Yes,
Yeah,
it's quite convenient that her career did sit nicely in the between the years of
yeah,
1999 and 2022. So this
yeah.
it's kind of perfect. We might see this again when we do the men's list. But if I told you a player, over the course of 5 years, won two Grand Slams and finaled six, you go Hall
Mhm.
of Fame, right? Yeah. If I told you a player over the course of 4 years won six Grand Slams, finaled one,
Mm,
you go, whoa, that's like Iga. That's like Iga, right?
yeah, definite Hall of Fame.
Serena did both of those at the end and the beginning of her career. Not to mention,
The
random bouts of she
plethora in between.
winning three Grand Slams in a year twice, you know, picking up
Co
two Grand
coined the
Slams.
term Serena Slam,
Serena
you
Slam winning
know,
four in a
for winning
row.
the 4 in a row, just not in the calendar year. Yeah,
Right, she did that twice in
yeah.
2000, 2002 French Open into the Australian Open in 2020 or 2003, and then again U.S. Open 2014 through 2015 Wimbledon. There was the my biggest takeaway from Serena Williams' career. Probably two things. It's like one, it was always happening. Like she was number one, like all the time for 15 years, but not all
Yeah,
15 years. It was just like, oh, Serena's number one in the world in 2003. And then, I was in college and I was doing other things. And then, okay, well, she's not playing much anymore. Is she retiring early? And then she pops off and wins six more Grand Slams between 2007 and 2010. And then she has a down year. And then 12 to 14, she pops off and wins another five Grand Slams. And then 15, she wins three. It's like, it was just always happening. And it's wild to think that she literally put together, I think, legitimately four unique Grand Slam, four unique
right,
Hall of
run,
Fame
yes, yeah,
careers
sure.
in one career.
Yep,
It's wild. Her only comp is it's literally it's Novak. It's Novak. What the two of them have managed to do in the last 25 years. I still need more space from it to really appreciate. This shit's wild, T. It's wild.
and 14 Grand Slam doubles. Just sit
Yeah.
on that.
Oh, yeah, that part.
That part. Just put that out there at all 4 slams as well. I think she won at least 2 at on all the slams. Obviously, a few more at Wembley and a few more at Australia, but at least 2 slams and doubles on all 4. Just to add, as if we needed to add anything more.
It's silly. It's silly. It's silly the level of dominance over time. It's silly that there's ever I don't think that there's actually ever an argument like when you say the greatest women's tennis player of all time. I imagine 99 times out of 100 someone's going to say it's Serena.
Yeah,
I have her as the greatest female athlete of all time.
great.
I hold no punches when it comes to celebrating this woman. Um, yeah, it's like it's maybe you speak because I'm at a loss for words. Like I
Yeah,
feel
I think and again, and I wanna put some level of appreciation here because I feel like we have to include, okay? You have to include Martina Navratilova. You have to include Chris Evert. You have to include, Margaret Court, even Steffi for the number of sheer titles.
okay.
The on the history of it all. I'm not talking about anything else, just straight up numbers.
The
Now,
numbers.
having said that, right? Having said that, Serena occupies a base that I think is perhaps closer to combination of Jordan and LeBron with a little bit of Kobe in the middle because she in a sense was all three in her 20 plus year career. She was that early, she was that middle, and she was that late where And she was the brand of Nike tennis for bulk of that whole Puma initially, right? And then she,
Right.
of course, went on with Nike. She helped the women's tour take off to levels that. She helped U.S. Open keep the lights on, as far as I'm concerned, for easy 10 to 15 of those years. And I made this comment about Novak in a previous podcast not too long ago. And she stayed in tennis until tennis was good to move on. I feel like she actually did tennis a favor by staying on as long as she did. She didn't leave too big of a drop off until Naomi was able to take that crown from her at that time. I think she felt like, okay, it's time. Up until now, you all haven't been able to take it from me. And now you are. And I'll be honest, Alvin, I look at Novak through the lens of Serena because of having seen her career from that whole span, obviously, and seen Novak as well. And I hope, and this is just another side point, that he has the same classy finish that she had. Do I feel she could have retired sooner, a year or two for sure? But do I feel like she was still relevant? 1000%. And I also feel like it took a young, if you will, a 2.0 version of her to beat her, right? And Naomi at that time. But I also feel like he was never really replaced. And I feel that's the one thing while she's retired, she's never been replaced. And that's something we I'm giving Arena the biggest compliment by saying I think she could be the next Serena. And all the potential that comes with, there will never be another Serena, right? She was just that good. There's GOAT, there's Hall of Fame, and then there's Serena on the other side of things. And I think that's just, there's nothing more to say, but I think you have to appreciate the historical part. He, in modern memory, is the absolute. You have to appreciate others have who came before her were as good on paper, some even better. But I don't think any of them did it in the era competitive and for the duration with the eras that Serena did it with. You can make a case for Steph. It was so good so many weeks. You can make a case for Martina and Chris, rivals for decades, almost 2 decades, right? That is 100%. Take nothing away from either one of them. She was the top for the majority of those 20 years and multiple different, I'm going to say, eras of rivals in that same time frame. And that's not easy to say. As I said, I stand by my point about Jordan, Kobe, and Braun because she has, in a sense, been all three in her career. She's been the upstart athlete that came out and beat your socks off. She's been the better version of herself and Kobe over Jordan, and she's had the longevity of these other players over years of time, and really has been able to maximize both on the court and off the court, earnings, business side, and as I say, really helped tennis to move on. So there's rarely has a person transcended a sport like she has, and she did it.
Yeah. I'm gonna even take a a look away from the numbers and just talk about Serena Williams, the tennis player, right? Because the numbers speak for themselves, right?
Yeah,
But the way that we talk about players changing the game
yeah.
and how the game is different when they leave. And
Mm.
I think what we're seeing now, and I think this is probably I might back off of the Arena is the next version of Serena or the 2.0, but she is a direct descendant of the Serena Williams line. I think
Right,
I'm
tree.
gonna go there. Yeah,
Sure. She's a
because
branch off
like
that tree. I agree with that.
as a tennis player, like when you just start talking about breaking Serena down as a tennis player from a skill set standpoint, right? Best we could probably argue best serve in women's tennis ever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know who else. Maybe Venus is right behind her. Maybe but I think it's Serena and then everyone else. Um, Phenomenal mover in her prime. Um,
Yep.
I think obviously as age does to everyone in the back end of her career, right? A step slower here and there, but that she still had that
Yeah.
serve. Um, could use a baseball term, right? Could hit for power and accuracy off both wings, right? There wasn't necessarily a place you could go and feel safe when you're talking about going to forehands or backhands with Serena Williams. And
Right.
then you already spoke to, the Williams sisters' dominance in doubles when they chose to play. Uh, Phenomenal net game. Could close off points there. Whether it's a stick volley, whether it's overhead with a swing volley, like Serena had it all.
Yep.
And then she had that X factor of she was nails tough in the clutch. She was a gamer,
Yep.
right? Grand Slam. She came to play. She didn't lose that many finals, until, you started to get towards 2016, 2018, 2019. That's when she, wasn't able to get it done as quite as often. But in between that, 2009, 2015 time when she won 21 of those, whatever it was, Grand Slams, she only lost in the finals 4 times. Like that's a, that's big time. And she scared other players. The game had to change. The way we coached had to change. The way we developed players had to change because we now had the archetype of what it took to be great on the women's tour. Move well, serve well, hit big all the time. I think that was the biggest difference between her and, let's say, Lindsay Davenport, right?
Yep.
Lindsay couldn't move like Serena moved. Lindsay could hit it. Lindsay could hit it as big, but not from the corners.
At times bigger, but
Right,
not on the move, and not for the duration as a result of the movement.
right, right. So I think it's actually it's the tennis that wins all these matches and all these Grand Slams and sets all these records, right? And I think when you start to look at the numbers, they often take on a life of their own.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember the actual skill set that Serena had that allowed her to do all of these things. So yeah, Serena Williams. I mean,
I wanna
she could
I
get her
wanna
own.
add one.
Please,
Sorry.
yeah, please. I'm good. You go.
I read an article about Roger Federer naming his pick for the greatest tennis player of all time.
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing here. Speaking to the Wall Street Journal, the Swiss superstar said, "Been fascinating to watch. She had a total different upbringing. Came up through Switzerland with the Federation. She did it with her dad and her sister. An amazing story unto itself. And then she became one of the greatest, if not the greatest, tennis player of all time." After then clarifying that he meant Williams being the greatest tennis player overall, rather than just for females. Federer added that wading into the GOAT conversation is always going to be tricky, but we know Serena is all the way up there. I think when 20 Grand Slams gives you a nod and says, oh, there's no question. And I like the fact that he clarified not just for women players. So I say that to say again, coming through the views of through the lenses of the modern era, no shade on anybody from before. Complete historical notes and kudos to everybody who came before, including Fort, Draft, Everett, and Navratilova for the modern, 2000s, modern era, modern game, arena beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I feel like not only is she deserving of all the praise, Alvin, I feel like she set the modern game and transcended it to a level that no one else will ever do. We've we probably don't even realize, but we do it all the time. We still compare every other great male or female with Serena. And when's the last time that's happened? When's the last time we measured even the best men in the game in a career the top women player. That's that in itself is in a male dominated, let's face it, kind of a space. That in itself has changed the paradigm.
And I'll even add that Roger is not the, of his generation of that big, 3, 4. You put uh, Andy in there. Andy Murray has been one of the most outspoken of them in his praise for Serena throughout their career. Obviously, they played mixed doubles together a few times as well.
Yep.
Oftentimes correcting reporters when they misspeak about quoting in her greatness. So I think, take those two data points of Andy Murray and Roger Federer, which are two
Roger.
very strong
Yeah.
data points. I think that just goes along with our point, and how it's really a list of one and then the other 24. But
100%, and it'll never be matched again.
yeah, I'm with you there.
Feel pretty confident.
This was fun. How do you feel about this exercise?
Next time we got to get a little bit of clarity on the interpretation. I think that is, I'm going to put that out there for my own little caveat. I think it was good. I have to tell you, gut wrenching some of these decisions. A buddy of mine, uh, Eric Dobson, Dauber,
Yeah,
sent me this list the other day about top 50 rap albums of all time, right?
yeah,
And as you and I were going through this exercise, I was thinking about this, and I'm going through some of the titles, some I've never heard of. Some I'm like, man, done done at 40, at 48. What are one of the top 10? To your point, right? It's all about your frame of reference, right? This exercise was difficult from the moment I started because you even have to kind of decide what your data points are. What is your metric, right?
yeah.
And while I kind of knew already, I started at number one and worked down. I almost had to go backwards up, of course, right? And kind of just to who was I not including or going to omit for whatever reason. And so you started coming into this. Even the exercise itself, it made you kind of make certain decisions that some were uncomfortable. You know what I mean? There was many players. There were several players that were my personal favorites to watch and play that may not have been as high as I wanted because of the
Right.
metric that I decided to go with. So it was fun. It was challenging. I'm glad that it got some static. I appreciate the listeners calling me out. I appreciate that. That means that they're watching, and I look forward to some of their comments back and who they might have put in, especially in that 5 through or 6 through 10, 6 through 15 space, because that's tough sledding in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
almost give, and I get I get the asterisk behind Celis, and my own personal want of her to be in that space due to just dominance and years played and all that. But you get outside of Sharapova and the rest, it's it's tough. It's tough, and to me, even tougher putting the current players in that mix with those players from
Right.
before
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
feel like in some ways were better because they played Serena, because they had to go through Venus, because they had to go through, you know, Justine. And so that's the other part of this is I don't value their body of work as strong yet, but if I went through metrics of slams and weeks that won and number of lost finals, I had to put them in there. And not that I would omit them, but that to me was the other hard part was where do you put the current? Right?
And
Where do you put the current?
yeah,
And that
the
was
current
that was to me one of the
players.
hardest pieces because now you're juxtaposing them, it's like, oof, but and it's hard because in my mind, I don't think they're that good yet. I don't mean that in any way disrespect, but they haven't they haven't lived in my mental space long enough to have that
Right.
that level
Right.
of air just yet.
Yeah, but then when you go through the exercise and you start looking at the numbers, you have to take yourself out of it and you go,
Right.
yeah, they're right. Yeah, like Iga's right there.
Yeah.
You kind of
100%.
shock yourself, like, oh wow, Iga's had a better career than Kim Clijsters already,
Already.
um, already, and she hasn't been on tour that long, 6 years.
Yeah.
So like it kind of like it not only gives us an opportunity to really remember, and talk about some of the players that have color a lot of our fandom past, but
Formed
also,
formed a lot of our whole tennis self, did they not?
yeah,
Formed
yeah,
what you thought a top player was. In my opinion, we don't need to go further back on Serena, formed the type of champion and who I give them credit based off of because of Serena. As I said, she was not just she's become the definition, not just the top player and one of the great and the greatest. That is difficult because now you're comparing everybody through that to that benchmark. And that's as I said, with the benchmark that will never get matched. That's tough to do.
yep. And I'll leave us with this. Obviously, thank you guys for watching. Leave your top 25 or your top
Yeah.
10 or whatever in the comments. I've seen a few of them pop up in during some of the previous episodes, but would love to see kind of like how you guys would approach it and what your criteria are. And
Yeah.
then I think the plan is to do the men's do the same men's exercise before sometime between now and let's say the beginning of the Australian Open. It's gonna look a little different. I don't think there are 25 that I want to put on the list,
No
but
doubt.
we will. It's top heavy, as you would imagine. But I think it's good to go through the exercise. And we'll learn something about some of these players that we hadn't thought about in a while. Maybe we'll learn a little bit about ourselves
I,
in the
I will
process.
ask ahead of time, just because of the dominance of the three. I will ask ahead of time for an edit in the total number so that we're not just putting either that or an edit in time frame. And I say that to say because of the dominance. I think there's what's the number? 66? Is it a 66 between the three of them?
Yeah, 22, 20. Yeah, 66. I think it's 66, 20, 22,
So
24, something like that.
66 between three
Yeah.
players, and you're going to talk about 25 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
Could
it's
you even,
it's
you see what I'm saying? It's very difficult to get, and we had a couple years that didn't even have all fours. I know at least one that didn't have all four slams. So you're looking at, what are we looking at? Was that not quite 100 total slams in 25
right.
years? Four years, you got 100
Yeah.
slams.
4 years. Yep.
So
Yep.
66, Alcaraz has what, four, five?
6. Center's got
Alcaraz six
yeah.
and center
Alcaraz
four.
has 6, center 4. Yep.
So you're looking at
It,
76 between five players. I'm putting it
yeah.
out there, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you only got
But
20, and I
25
think
slams.
less because I don't think they had the French one year. So you're looking at 23
Yeah.
total left.
Yeah, it's a
I'm just
hard.
saying.
Maybe we
I'm saying.
yeah, we got
I don't. Here's my thing. I don't want 15 through 25 to just be, well, we got to put them in there. You know what I mean? That's all and that's my only request. Because of the number being so, I'll let you decide.
I mean, there's a couple of ways to. I mean, we can work through this right now. There's a couple of ways to look at it, because yes, if we include them, and I just kind of quickly glance over to my ATP list, like once you get past 15, whew, man, it's tough.
And
It's
and now you're
tough. Like
putting
I
them in a
don't.
list where if you went back 5 more years or even 10 more years, they wouldn't even make the list.
Right. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
saying. And,
Okay.
and that's for history's sake. Or we shorten the number, keep the time, or we keep the number and extend the time. That's all I'm saying. And you know what? How about we wait for the comments to pour in to say which they would rather see?
There you
How about
go.
that?
Defining. Let the people decide.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll figure out how to do a poll. But like, how
Yeah.
how should we attack the ATP with the same level of respect that we gave to the WTA when we're
100%.
talking about modern tennis? I think we leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair request. With that being said, let's just put a pin in it. I'm still Alvin. That is still Tori. Best of 3. We are out.
Peace.